Good morning, students. Today, let us study a new lesson, that is, lesson number 12, Study of Sound. You all know that there are different forms of energy like mechanical energy, heat energy, light energy, chemical energy, and nuclear energy. Can you think that is sound a form of energy? Yes, sound is the form of energy which produces a sensation of learning in our ears. Every day we hear sounds from various sources like humans, birds, construction work, factory, vehicles, music system and cell phones, etc. How will the world feel if it is silent? Imagine. Yes, we can imagine world without sound. We will feel boring because there is no conversation will take place. We will not be able to listen different types of pleasant music in our daily life. So, sound is an important form of energy. But have you thought how sound is produced? So, now let's discuss how sound is produced. Sound travels in the form of wave from one place to another, and sound is produced because of the vibration of any object. When an object is vibrated, it produces sound. In other words, we can say that when an object is vibrated, it produces sound. For example, sound can be produced by clapping of palms. Sound can be produced by vibrating of a string. Sound is produced by beating a table or diaphragm of a drum, or by a flute because of the vibration of air column. Sound can be also produced by playing a guitar and its vibration of string. Sound waves give rise to a chain of compression and rarefaction. Now, what do you mean by compression? Compression means it is a place of higher density in the sound waves, and rarefaction means it's a place of lower density in the sound waves. Now look at the figure, you can easily identify the compression and rarefaction, that is the place of higher density and the place of lower density. Let us study what are longitudinal waves and transverse waves. Now look at the diagram for longitudinal wave. Longitudinal waves are those waves in which the particles of the medium move parallel to the propagation of the wave. For example, sound waves are always longitudinal waves. Transverse waves. Now if you see at the figure, you will see that the particles of the medium move perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of the wave. For example, ripples formed on the surface of the water is an example of transverse wave. A sound wave can be shown in the form of a graph. At any moment during the propagation of a sound wave, we would find alternate bands of compression and rarefaction of the medium, that is, the bands of greater and lesser density. Now, you have three figures named as figure A, figure B and figure C. Now look at figure A. It shows changes in density. The region where particles are crowded is called compression, and where they are far apart are rarefaction. Now look in the figure B. It shows change in pressure. The lines represent layers of air. The region where lines are crowded are high pressure region, while where they are far apart are of low pressure. If you see in the figure C, you will see the changes in density or pressure. The crest represents higher pressure region, while the trough represents lower pressure region. So this is how we can identify the sound waves from the following graph. Let's study some important terms. The first one is wavelength. The wavelength of the sound waves is indicated by a Greek letter lambda. Now in the bracket there is a sign or the symbol for lambda. Now what do you mean by wavelength? It is the distance between two compression and the two consecutive rarefaction is called a wavelength. So the distance measured between two compression and two rarefaction is called a wavelength. Now amplitude is denoted by a capital letter A. It is the maximum value of the pressure or density in the sound waves is called an amplitude. Now the frequency of the sound wave is indicated by nu. In the bracket the symbol is given for nu. Now the frequency is the number of complete oscillation of density, or you can say the pressure of the medium per second. Time period is denoted by capital letter T. It is the time taken to complete one oscillation of pressure or density at the point in the medium is called a time period. So these are some of the important terms. Now let us understand the velocity of sound with the help of an activity. Can sound travel through solids and liquids? Let us perform an activity which shows that sound can travel through solids. Place one of your ears on a table and close the other ear with your hand. Ask your friend to gently tap on the table at a point a meter away from your ears. Note the sound heard. The sound is much louder when carried by a solid. Now lift your head slightly up so that your ear is not touching the table. Ask your friend to tap on the table at the same place. Does the sound appear less loud now? Yes, now the sound is less. This is because sound travels better through solids than it does through air. Sound also travels faster through solids. From the above activity, you can see that you hear the sound through the solids. This shows that sound travels faster in solids than in liquid. Now let's define what is velocity of sound. It is the distance covered by a point on the wave in unit time is the velocity of the sound waves. So our formula is velocity is equal to distance upon time. At any point on the sound waves covers a distance equal to lambda, that is wavelength in time t. Thus the velocity of sound is given by velocity is equal to nu, that is frequency, multiplied by lambda, which is wavelength. But nu is 1 upon t. So our formula goes velocity is equal to wavelength upon time period, which is also denoted by lambda upon t. Now let us study the velocity of sound in different medium such as solids, liquids and gas. In any medium at fixed physical conditions, the velocity of sound of different frequencies is very nearly the same. If you look at the chart given, you can see the velocity of sound is highest in solids and least in gases. It increases with an increase in the temperature of the medium. Now, let us study the different types of sound, that is infrasound, ultrasound and audible sound. Now have a look over audible sound. The audible range of a sound of a human being is from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. But the child under the age of 5 or the animals such as dogs can hear up to 25 kHz. As people become older, their ears will be less sensitive to higher frequencies. Infrasound. Sounds of frequencies below 20 kHz are called infrasonic sounds or infrasound. If we could hear infrasound, we can hear the vibration of pendulum. Rhinoceros, elephants and whales communicate using infrasounds. Ultrasound. Frequencies higher than 20 kHz are called ultrasonic sound or ultrasound. Ultrasound is produced by dolphins, bats and porpoises. Moths can hear the high frequency of bat and can escape from it. Especially bat uses the ultrasound in order to escape from any obstacle. Now let us study some of the uses of ultrasonic sound. Ultrasonic sound is used for communication between ships at sea. If there is any obstacle underneath the ship can identify with the help of these ultrasonic sounds. It is also used to join the plastic surfaces together. That means two plastic surfaces we can join easily. It is used to sterilize liquids like milk by killing the bacteria in it so that the milk keeps for a longer duration. We can keep the milk for a longer period as we sterilize it. Echocardiography. Echocardiography, which studies heartbeats and is based on ultrasonic waves like sonographic technology. It helps us to obtain the images of internal organs in a human body. In industry, to clean the internal parts of a machines where our hands cannot reach, we use this ultrasonic sound in order to identify it. We can also use ultrasonic sound in order to locate the cracks and the faults in metal blocks. Now let's study reflection of sound. Like light waves, sound waves too get reflected from a solid or a liquid surface. These waves follow law of reflection. That means the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. However, all materials do not reflect sound waves equally. We require a smooth or a rough surface for the reflection of sound. Reflection of sound can be understood by the following activity. Now let's start with the activity. Arrange two cardboard tubes in front of a wooden board as shown in the figure. Put a wristwatch at the one end of the tube and listen from the other tube. Now adjust the position in such a way that you can hear the tick of the watch clearly from the second tube. You will find that the maximum sound is heard when the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection are equal. Can you see in the figure that the angle of incidence and angle of reflection are equal? Now, the sound heard after reflection is called an echo. Metal surfaces are good reflectors of sound. You can hear sound very clearly with the help of these metal surfaces. But cloth, cork, thermocol and porous materials are bad reflectors. These materials absorb sound. Our ear can distinctly hear two sounds if they are separated by at least 1/15 of a second. In 1/15 seconds, sound travels 1/15 into 330 meter, which is equal to 22 meters. So we can hear the reflected sound only if we are at a distance of 11 meter from a reflecting body. So the distance travelled by sound is 11 meter plus 11 meter, which is equal to 22 meter. This exam explains why we do not hear echoes in small rooms, or if we shout in front of a building a short distance away. Now, in a large empty hall, we hear echoes only if all the doors and windows are closed and there are no sounds absorbing curtains, cushions, etc. in it. If we stand in front of a tall building more than 11 meter away and shout, we will hear a distinct echo. That means the distance here always matter to hear a clear echo.